I'm part of Airpush. Airpush is, again, it's a mobile ad network. We've been successful in helping app content developers basically monetize their content. And on the other side, we also help brands, such as the rest of my panel, obviously communicate to mobile devices. Airpush is a little bit different in that we focus strictly on Android devices. We're also a little bit different in that we operate within an opt-in network, which just means the messaging that we are able to actually deliver to the handset devices, you as a consumer have opted in and agreed to be, receive these types of campaigns, which ultimately at the end, I think what Rob was we were talking in the other room, delivers better messaging to you as a consumer because you know what you're getting and why you're getting it. Secondly, it allows us to basically work with advertisers such as the rest of my panel and others to deliver that right type of messaging to that phone directly. Our ad products are also a little bit different than just the normal display app, display ads that you see in content. We actually deliver the same type of ad units through the push notification tray of the devices. And by doing so, we have actually seen higher engagement, higher ROI for our advertisers.
Okay, and Eunice, a question for you in terms of being a big brand as you guys are. How are you dealing with the new platforms coming up like social media or like Facebook, for example?
We have, to start with, about a year ago, we've got about more than 80 Facebook pages for different hotels have their own Facebook pages. Communication was fragmented. So when they decided that they wanted to consolidate this communication and marketing, the team then decided to pull everything together. We did an analysis and see where we want to go. We started with one Facebook page for global, and the end game would be to have all these different hotels' Facebook pages consolidated into one. We never had a consolidated database, so the team started with consolidation of databases from all over the world. It came up to about a couple of million, and now we've only got maybe 500,000 active email database. So we were just sharing on the panel. We've got people who have small businesses, but they're very nimble. I think the challenge with a brand like Millennium, who's been in existence for more than 16 years, there's established processes. So it's like trying to turn a very big ship. So it takes time, and at the same time, you need to respect what the regions are doing locally by not trying to be imposing on your global strategy. So is that fine balance of what I call localization.
Okay, then it might be interesting to get the perspective from Richard here, who's coming from a relatively smaller local entity. Could you maybe tell us some more about your social media strategy?
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Rob. Just a quick introduction of Petopia. We started our business 3 years ago as a small setup. Like any other pet business, trying to introduce a new range of services, but we offered a range of services that was unique in terms of the mix. So we had styling, spa and healing, and very well developed pet accommodation, pet hotel. When we forward into social media, it was just one lazy afternoon that my business partner and I said, look, there's this new thing called Facebook. We should get on the bandwagon. It's the way to go, based on what everybody is saying. But I said, is it this Friendster? Is it some form of like sharing an album thing and telling everybody about it? Actually, they're small. I began to study, so we started forming a page, and I said, okay, you are a fan, I'm a fan, and he's a fan. We have 3 fans, so let's get this going. But we had a mission because we started off social media way before the grand opening, which was 3 months later. So I decided to use this as a platform to test out how this will go. So we shared a lot of content like teasing, getting anticipated. And after that, we shared the making of the renovation, and within 3 months we garnered about 3,000. It was quite an interesting thing. And on opening day, our appointments were all full. The hotel was, the media pulled the TV crew, and we went on primetime news. 1 year later, we doubled it to 5,000. The second anniversary, we hit 10,000, and now we are at 30,000 3 years later. Size-wise, you can say that any business can have a lot of Facebook fans, but our business, in relation to Eunice's challenge, is that it depends on which stage of your business you're at. We were lucky in the sense that we were new. We introduced something relatively new, and we can build our community. But if control is something that big companies have to look very carefully, as for us, as a business owner and also brand advocator, I don't have a large team to run the team, so I'm able to actually live and breathe brand. So that is the thing I'm blessed with. But it's starting to get a bit of out of control because I'm managing a large community.
Okay, that might be interesting also in terms of what Pawan is doing, housing project from Tata in India, and he is applying social media and online also in terms of getting referrals. Can you maybe tell us more about that?
Hi, good afternoon. Tata Housing is part of Tata Group in India, one of the largest. So obviously, as the income level and GDP growing in India, it made a lot of sense to venture into homes. So now the next question is why online as a medium? So just some data, we have 900 million connections in India, mobile connections, and more than 150 million internet connection. And in terms of smartphone, currently it's around 27.8 million, but it's really growing at the fastest pace, almost probably 100% year-on-year basis. So I think no marketeer, no brand can ignore this number in India. So if you want to be relevant, if you want to get connected to the new generation, I think this is the medium. So that's very, very clear from our point of view. And I think the next big thing, what this medium does is actually create a lot of engagement with your customer. And housing is a project, as a product, it is very important to have that engagement, have that trust. Of course, the brand Tata brings in a lot of trust for the customer, there's no doubt. But I think it also about creating engagement, so which is what this platform sort of helps. And to buy a home, I think one of the biggest tool is actually reference. If your friend is able to, say, very confidently that it's a great project and you should sort of invest or buy, I think it makes a lot of sense, for any customer. So that's exactly is the role what we are trying to play on the online space. Bring in a lot of, reference, bring in a lot of, talking about the project, and let the, customer themselves become, endorser of our project. So that's how we are looking at. And of course, we have more than 1 million fan base on our Facebook. And of course, we have a strong base in Twitter as well. But again, I think, the content becomes very, very important. So we also play a role in terms of, educating or helping people beyond just about talking about our project. So that's essentially what we do.
Okay. And in terms of, David, in terms of branding versus engagement or response, what do you guys basically advise companies to how to deal with that? David, yeah, sorry.
Me? I'm sorry. Branding versus response. That's actually kind of an interesting question. Again, running a network, right? We obviously see a wide range of different types of advertisers. For us, the majority of what people are doing right now on the mobile side is obviously trying to get their content discovered, trying to receive app installs. That's still 50% of the types of advertisers that we do globally. It's just not, in pockets. Globally, such as everybody here that has an app, they're looking for additional reach. So that's what we see a lot of. Also, in just terms of branding, we see a lot of that. Our ad units and the way that we actually are able to deliver them tend to perform a lot better than, again, just the normal in-app display type stuff. Our click-through rates are usually in the 10 to 20% range, just because of the way that we deliver our media. In my opinion, running an ad network, we have a responsibility not only to those app developers that we're helping, obviously monetize their content, but to you guys, I'm assuming the advertiser base, in making sure that we're able to actually deliver your messaging to the right phone, to the right person at the right time. And we really believe that we've kind of cracked that code, so to speak. So.
Okay. And I would like, Eunice, maybe if you could, in terms of branding, I know you're very experienced in that on that topic. What is your vision overall in terms of putting the brand out there through the new platform, social media, maybe mobile? Do you have any kind of thoughts, vision about that?
Well, of course we do. We try to benchmark ourselves against the global players of the Starwood, the Hyatt, and the Hilton. But I think there are a lot of things that fits into the puzzle of where we want to be. The team, my team is here, and we aspire to bring the brand online and the website to a certain level. But of course, there are limitations to what the brand is currently, what the perception is, and the limitations of the infrastructure. I think the other thing that we were just talking about is, when we talk about Angry Birds, it brought a smile on everybody's face. And is the correlation between a brand and correlation between brands and likes and fans on the Facebook, right? If you have Angry Bird on Facebook, definitely the affinity for someone to like and befriend is much higher than I have another brand called the Angry Pig or something like that. So I think that would be a very interesting study. I still cannot tell you that, I'm sure Starwood would pull a stronger fan base than we do. We attempt through SEO, SEM, display ads, partnership with BBC, partnership with CNN, and at the end of the day, what are your KPIs? What does the team want and what does the management want? Management wants whatever investment that translates into revenue. Whereas for me and my team, the initial phase would be, I want my brand awareness to be out there first. So my priority would be fans, likes, content, conversations, and engagement. All right? And I think the other thing about Facebook and the social media space, which was recently a major topic for me, was content. Right? If you don't have appropriate content relevant to your customers, and you use Facebook as a platform or social media to sell, to hard sell, and push discounts, forget about it. Don't do it. All right? It may be contrary to your management team, all right, but I would tell my team, forget about it. Because if you don't have the content, beautiful pictures, hotels, they will show beautiful pictures and say, okay, 25% discount off. So it's very hard. Again, it's always that balance between wanting to have a presence because it's a management expectation, and doing what is right that you feel would be appropriate for the brand. If I have a choice, if Millennium and Corpthorne was my brand, I would then try to position it as more lifestyle and experiential, rather than everyone trying to push MICE business, staycation, F&B discounts, buffet discounts. So that would be my aspiration for the brand.
Okay, I see Richard nodding here. So, is everybody on the panel, everybody agrees that social media is more branding than a response platform? Or let's say Facebook, for example? Or is anybody saying, no, we can use it actually to drive conversions? Or
I have to qualify. I'm guilty. I do that balance, but I tell my team, okay, I want, you know, like a booking engine on the website so that I can be still answerable to the management team. But it's a very, very tough game to play. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of orders through?
I have a big experience to share. Initially, when I started, I said, look, I want sales to, I want people to use our services instantly. But as I started to learn through 3 years, there's these 3 distinct phases. The first phase is introduction. People don't know about you, so they need to know about you. Forget about selling. Second was when they start to know about you, so what do you really do? What's behind the service that you're providing? And 3 years on, I suddenly have strangers turning up at my store and said, look, I've been your fan for the past 3 years, and I know what you're doing. Don't need to sell to me. I'm here to make a booking. So it was an interesting thing that we learned is that you can coexist, but the mix is that because I have been studying my competitors, how they do it, and they failed. Like, I wouldn't mention names. My immediate competitor has 1/3 of my size, and they have 50 over outlets when I have 1. So the thing I learned is that you need to engage. It's a social media after all. You need to engage. Selling is part of the mix. Perhaps you might just share 1 or 2 promotions, but basically deliver content that they value you for. For Eunice, what I may suggest is really beautiful pictures. So next time I go to this lovely place, I know, oh, this place, I'd love to go to the hotel.
So if I can just make a point, yeah, I don't think it's just about branding alone. I think it's both, but I think the process is different. Here, like as she was rightly mentioning, that the content becomes very, very important. But I think if you are able to sort of engage, you know, with your customers, it's basically a community which you create with like-minded people, right? So if any one of them if they endorse your brand, I think the chances of conversion is very, very high. At least we have seen that in our, product, in our offering, that, a high-value product, which is almost like not less than, 20-30 million Indian currency. That it's been playing a great role in terms of influencing like-minded people, influencing a community. So I think it's really getting into more than just branding.
Okay.
I concur.
I mean, I think so too. I mean, I think we have some time left for questions from the audience.
May I just one last point to that? As I learned about this business versus social, can there be a coexistence? I have friends asking me, so because you run a pet business, so it's a very social activity, people own pets. But for corporate companies, where is the balance? I'll say, look, in every business there is a social element. So you're dealing with people, you're not dealing with machines. So find that human element, be human, and eventually it will endear people to you. You will be able to build the kind of likability which translates to credibility, or vice versa.
Likability translates to credibility. Okay. Yeah? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi. I have a question. Do you think that in future, at some point, your social platforms could be your leading platforms for your company, so you mainly are present online socially or in social platforms?
If I may answer this, it's already a very important part of our, marketing sort of portfolio. So in terms of, our marketing budget, almost 30 to 40% actually goes into, I'll not say social, digital, that's what I'm going to call it. And like as I was sharing that, in our housing project, suddenly because of this entire platform, our market is not restricted to India alone. Actually, the whole globe becomes our market. And almost 25 to 30% of our customers are outside of India, which is a very large NRI community, non-resident Indian community, which sort of buys it, our project through, digital platforms. So I think it's already become at least very serious for us.
I was referring especially because you have a main online platform, your own website, and social platforms. If that could
personally, I feel social is a huge part, because when you think of social, you think of influencers, right? Your social graph is full of influencers. Your influencers obviously will help you do engagement with whatever that may be, maybe your brands or whatnot. So, you know, building your social graph is very important for a brand, because you're building your influencer base. And if you don't have your influencer base, you're not going to get engagement. And ultimately, I think everybody talked about value, content, engagement. I mean, I think that was a pretty constant, you know, 3 topics. And if you have these 3 things, then you're providing value and you know, driving content and engagement for your products and your services.
For us, as a business, of course, we set up a website, but the website thing is that you won't be able to know your end users, how they're like. For social media, because interesting aspect of us, we don't just have a fan page, we have a friend profile. Of course, we don't invade privacy by digging out information telling you, oh, you like this last night. It's like, oh, you are really stalking me. But more importantly, by having social media, it will be able for you to understand your end consumers more, what they like and dislike. But well, if we're talking about online strategy, it's more of like a push. Let's say a new product to launch, you can use your common tools, SEO and CM, but social media ultimately is more of a pull media to me at the moment.
I think it's complementary. The social media platform is more like a lead generation awareness, whereas like for the hotels, the brand online is a translation of that into fruition, into ultimate revenue. I think that reliance will shift, not now. You will see a lot of people going into social media, but that trend will start to shift where the reliance on social media is more than the online. Like for example, now we rely a lot on online travel agents and pay them a hefty commission, which, you know, we are trying to reduce. How do we do that? We'll try to build a more robust brand online, but how do we support that brand online? It's through social media and other traditional marketing initiatives. Yeah.
Any other questions? How much time do we have, Chairman? I don't know. We still have some time. 8 minutes. Okay, great.
The sign says right now.
Yeah, maybe Richard was telling this before in terms of your experiment with befriending people actually, and I've seen some other experience going pretty well like that as well, but Facebook obviously doesn't like that. How do you see that in the future? I mean,
you're saying getting as many friends as you can,
opposed to the fan page.
Okay, when we started the fan page, I was in the dilemma because there was another feature whether you could use this as a friend profile. I didn't know what was the distinction was about initially, but now I do know. The unique thing about our social media strategy is that we have both performing a multiply effect. I have 30,000 fans, but I really maxed out the first profile at 5,000 and now the second one at 2.6. The combined reach is, fans of friends is 6 million. So with this 6 million, 1% or 2% is enough for me to actually get some activity going. But of course, my aim is not really get as many friends as possible, but still, the downside of just having a fan page is that you can only know your fans to a certain extent. But as a friends, your opinion leaders, like people with a large network. For us, for example, as a pet business, I have people who have clubs, pomp clubs, golden retriever clubs. So I will identify opinion leaders and engage them more actively. So that's where the friend profile comes in. But I have to bear balance. We can't be intrusive. I can't be stalking people and telling them, hey, I know your sister or your brother. It's really scary. So we do have that kind of policy where we just they give us they allow us to know who they are, but we don't abuse it.
Just say I know your dog.
yeah. It becomes more personal. So, for example, when I address them, I say, oh, so and so, how is he going? That's it. And interesting, because yesterday we celebrated our 3rd anniversary, and people wishing us from Germany and Poland and saying, oh, how's Oscar doing? Oh, it's great. Oh, and how's the weather over there? It becomes very personal, rather than just, oh, you like my page, you have been saying, I like your promotions. There's an extra dimension. Yeah.
And the name of your friend profile is your name or your company name?
Well, there was a limitation initially. Years ago, we registered it. It couldn't be just a name like Zara, for example. It had to be like a first name and then second name. So we did some tactics, and we said, okay, Petopia is the name. Singapore, not private. We tried that. The algorithms banned it. So I said Petopia. Okay, since I'm in Singapore, we call it Singapore then. It's a family's first name. So it got through. So hooray, we had a profile. So, but our own fan page has a name to it. It's called Petopia International, because we had plans to go international one day. So right now, these two coincides. So, but there are people who say, so what's the difference? So why am I a fan and your friend at the same time? It says, look, being a friend allows me to get to know more of your likes and dislikes, and more of what you do. A fans page, we have, but we don't overload. We have different content distributed. On the fan pages, really promotion, contest, deals, pictures. On the friend page is more as a personal identity, more that things that relate to us, like what happened at our store yesterday. So there's different kinds of content that we share.
Okay, and in terms of this, the free part of social media, any of you guys do paid, basically advertising on Facebook, other social media platforms? And if yes, what is your experience? Cost-wise, ROI-wise?
David can't comment because he's the provider. For me, initially, as a small-time player, we didn't have much budget. But now I do see I'm an active user of Facebook advertising, but not a large amount. We use it more to extend the reach of our fans. As we learned, that some people just like and forget about you. It's just like, but there's something they do. But we have to continue to grow the community. So it's affordable, and we can see results in terms of the activity. When we launch a promotion, like we post it and it appears on a news feed instantly, and I have a phone call minutes after. We make for just $8 a post, and I get many times that return in terms of response, rather than put it on traditional media and I have to wait and perhaps spend many more times than that.
I think that's one thing which we were talking at the lounge. So I think advertising on Facebook, if as far as I'm concerned, it depends from brand to brand, product to product. There could be a brand which probably needs lots of friends at one go. So I think it makes a lot of sense to sort of advertise and get like-minded people. Probably let's say a retail or any other product. But in our case, in terms of housing, I think just advertising and getting, buying fans, it's not going to help because it's a very serious product and with a high value. So therefore, I think the engagement, it needs to grow organically. That's very, very important. That's where I think we play a role in terms of content and sharing and therefore being able to share those with their friends. So I think it totally depends from a brand to product. So what kind of brand you are. So it purely depends on that.
Okay, what would you say, David, like social media advertising versus app advertising broadly? I mean, obviously it's a different inventory, but what would you say in terms of effectivity, or do we have still time for this question, or?
1 minute.
We're wrapping it up.
You can wrap it up. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, the effectivity of app advertising versus social media advertising.
Versus, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think the overall, what everybody's just kind of talking about, and this obviously correlates to advertising within app content versus advertising on Facebook versus, doing Twitter or whatnot, is everybody has a following, everybody has a base of consumers out there. I think it's just very important to go find them and obviously advertise them. however you can. I mean, you're not gonna find everybody on Facebook. You're not gonna find everybody on my network. You're not gonna find everybody, you know, on Twitter. But you know, I think it's just very important that you do you know, take the time to realize who is that, you know, your customer base, and find them, and then obviously exploit them, you know, market to them as much as you can, and that'll generate, you know, everything else that you guys want. Engagement, you know, extending your influencers, because I think that's hugely important for everybody else. So.
Okay. So do both, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we do everything. I mean, we advertise, we find, you know, specific blogs just for developers, because obviously that's, I need to go work with app developers to help them monetize their content. I go find, you know, a group of blogs, that's all that is Android developers. I advertise on LinkedIn, because that's, you know, that's another important area where developers hang out. We also advertise on Facebook for advertisers. So it's everything. You know, we do everything in moderation to find our exact group.
Okay.
I also create applications for my Facebook. We have contests, because an interesting example, we conducted a photo voting contest of we call it the Star Push of the month. Because so we list this with poodles, okay? So everybody submit photos of their poodles, they compete, they get to win a spa, they can win a makeover. But the app is actually an app that we developed. It's just a very simple one, and it doesn't cost much. And the good thing is that it's very targeted. Friends of poodle clubs, poodle owners will share around like-minded community, and that's what I want. I want them to know that we have be able to make over a poodle in a very different way. So sometimes it's not just about buying, it's about creating content that's relevant to your end users. So it can go organically as well. Mm-hmm. If you do have the right mix and the right objective that you want.
Okay, I think you've proven that very well. Thank you guys.